A 9-month-old baby was murdered on the night of April 9th, 1987. That baby boy is my baby brother Jacob. You heard a little bit about the story last episode with Charlie. Today I'm bringing a very special guest, somebody who is directly impacted by this case, somebody who I would not be able to be doing what I'm doing without, my beautiful mom, Brenda. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mule.
Welcome to Crime Lines and Consequences.
Thank you.
So this is a different episode. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about what's happened with Jacob's case. We're going to be talking about kind of where we are as people, as family advocates fighting for justice. So in the last episode, listener, you heard about what happened with Jacob's case with the Attorney General's office. And so my mom and I were taken into their office, not taken in, but invited into their office on January 11th of this year. And we were informed that they felt they didn't have enough evidence to prosecute Jacob's killer. So, Mom, what was going through your mind after we left that meeting?
I just kind of felt deflated, really hurt, like let down again after 37 years. And I'm just crushed. I can't even put it into words, actually.
Yeah. I think at first we wanted to believe that they had done a thorough investigation. That's what they told us they did. But after I received the records request, we learned that they really didn't. So I think it's safe to say that we're both very angry. We both are very, I don't know what the word is, but frustrated isn't even doesn't even do it justice, right?
Devastated.
Devastated's the right word. Yeah.
Once again.
Yeah.
Because we had so much hope to go talk to the Department of Justice.
Yeah.
Which should be the Department of Injustice in my eyes.
Yeah. I agree. I think that they kind of built up this hope for us in a lot of ways. And unfortunately, because the Attorney General changed from Hector Valderas to Raul Torres, it's a completely different experience. Like, I guess I want to know, Mom. So the first time we talked to the Attorney General, Hector Valderas himself was on the call.
Right.
And he apologized to us.
He actually took the time to give us the time of day, which actually meant something.
It was the first time that anybody from the government ever acknowledged that the state of New Mexico messed up.
Yeah. And he promised he was going to look into him and his team.
Mm-hmm.
And then this quack came in and he pretends he's looking into it and he ain't doing nothing. Yeah. He's in his office all cozy and sends this whatever not to talk with us, to talk at us.
100%. Yeah, I think that was one of the things that I took away too was the main prosecutor. Her name is Greer. She was very condescending the entire time. And she was condescending to me on the phone as well. How does that make you feel when the people that are supposed to be helping us are treating us this way?
I feel like it's easier for them to blame the victim's family instead of the perpetrator because, they don't want to do their jobs. It seems like, we have to prove ourselves innocent instead of the only person that was around Jacob when he was killed. Like, you have a 20-something page autopsy report, 13-page arrest affidavit report. We have reported over and over, like 1993 times we reported my abuse, your abuse, him stalking my niece, going around the bus stop. We did it again in 1992, and nothing was ever done. They just ignored us. They just didn't care at all.
That's the vibe that I got, too, from that team, was that they did. I mean, I think that one of the prosecutors seemed like he cared.
Yeah.
But
he had compassion.
But I just feel like that's not enough, right? So
why can't they do their job?
Exactly. One of the things that bothered me the most is that they didn't even bother talking to Stephen. We've never said his name before. They didn't even bother. What did you think about that? Because my expectation was that they were at least going to try to put some pressure on him and at least interview him, if nothing else. Did you expect that they were going to do that?
I thought, they're prosecutors. They need to go check and see and talk to people. They didn't talk to nobody. They just don't care. Yeah. They gave you the reports that you gave them. acting like they actually did something when they didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, what do you call that? Like when you're lousy at your job. Is that word?
Negligence.
Yeah, there you go. Negligent.
Yeah.
You know, if you have the job, you should do the job. If you don't, you shouldn't have the job if you're not going to do it. Get out of office. Go home.
Go do something else.
Yeah, go home.
Yeah.
You're not helping the victims' family. You're helping the perpetrator.
That's right.
You're helping a killer.
That's right.
And you're helping him keep getting away with molesting children and beating women. And it's all your fault because you never did shit. Period.
100%. And I did tell them that, and I basically said that they were liable and responsible for anybody else that Stephen hurt after Jacob died, and that includes you and me, right?
Exactly.
Because if they would have done their job in the first place, if the state of New Mexico and the city of Socorro would have done their job in the first place,
wouldn't have to investigate it.
Yeah, the second that he confessed, which he confessed twice, the second that he confessed, he should have been arrested, and charges should have been brought, whether or not you said whatever you said, right?
Doesn't matter what
It doesn't matter what you think
it's the
or what you
state's
feel.
obligation to put killers in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Period. I don't care what the mom says, what the brother says. It doesn't matter. It's your job to investigate the killer.
That's right.
Period.
That's right. So you and I have decided that we're going to continue fighting together.
100%.
And even if Stephen isn't brought to justice for what he did to Jacob, even if Stephen is brought to justice for what he's done to somebody else, at the end of the day, what matters most to me, I'm not going to speak for you, but for me, is that he's not able to hurt anybody else.
I think that nobody has a right to play God. Nobody has a right to victimize other people and call it love and try to force you to stay with them when you're trying to get out, attack you with a knife, put a knife to your throat, and say the only way you're getting away is a body bag. Guess what, pal? I got away without a body bag.
That's right. You bring that up, Mom. I think it's interesting, not interesting, but I think it's important for people to know. This was something that he said often to you.
All the time. I was attacked. I was beaten. I was choked. I was with a knife to my neck. I said, I'm going to leave you. I'm tired of your crap. He put a knife to my neck, straddled me on the bed and said, are you leaving now? Like, who's going to say yes when you have a dagger to your throat? Yeah. Seriously? That's when you guys jumped out the window, even his kids.
I think that it's really hard to put into words how many times we've been shut down by the authorities. And like you said, we had a ton of hope going into that meeting with the Attorney General. We thought that for sure something was going to happen. For sure, like worst case scenario, they would have said, we investigated everything, we couldn't find anything, which is what they said, but that's not what really happened. Mm. But just like that feeling of, like, we know what happened and we know that it was wrong. And you said we reported it multiple times. We reported my abuse, your abuse, his grooming of my cousin. They still didn't do anything. What does it feel like when you know what's happened and you've lived it, you've experienced it, and to have people that are in power tell you that they don't believe you?
It feels like they're blaming me. Like if I wanted my son to be killed, like if I killed him, like if you killed him, like if we were to blame 100%, and I am not taking that blame and you are not taking that blame because you weren't even in town.
Right.
And I am not an abusive person.
No.
It takes me a lot for me to get mad. You've seen me get mad twice.
Yeah.
Once for your teacher and once when I found out this fool is a pedophile.
Yeah. Yeah, you've never been a violent person. You've never been abusive. You've been very nurturing my whole life. It's interesting that that's the route, though, that I think it's an excuse, because I find it hard to believe that they actually believe what they're saying.
It's an excuse so they don't have to do their job. They don't want to do their job.
Right.
Period.
Right.
And they're not going to.
Right.
Obviously. We have to prove that we're innocent of Jacob's murder. That's messed up. To put a victim's family in that position, that's just cruel and unjust.
It is. It's re-victimizing
over and over
the victims, because it's telling us that our trauma doesn't matter and our loss doesn't matter, and that the murder of your son and my baby brother doesn't matter in the eyes of the law. That's exactly what
Joy
it says.
of our life,
Yeah.
the smile and the joy and the happiness just ripped out of our arms overnight. It just don't matter to them.
Doesn't matter. It's the most frustrating thing I've ever experienced in my life. I will never understand why they think this is okay. I will never understand why they refuse to do the right thing. I just can't comprehend. Like, if I was in that position, I don't know that I would be as cold as these people are.
Yeah, it's like they have no heart. They're trying to make me his alibi for a guy that killed my son. I will never going to be his alibi. I didn't think he was capable of hurting an innocent child because I didn't.
Right.
He's a pastor's son. Who would think a pastor's son would kill a baby and offer, oh, let me babysit your kid. Tell your mama she needs a babysitter. Bring him to me.
And you know him. You knew him. Like, you grew up with him.
Yeah.
So, of course you didn't think that. He was two different people. He was a different person.
He is two different people.
Yeah,
he's a Jekyll and Hyde.
He's one person in public, and he's another person behind closed doors.
Anybody could pretend to be nice and loving, and but then when you get behind doors, it's a whole different animal.
That's when things change, yeah.
The whole demon comes out.
It's so frustrating that it is always going to be our word against his in this scenario until we can, like, find some actual evidence or find somebody who can come forward and say that they also were victimized by him.
But I got a question for you. So if he's not guilty, why did he abandon his property and leave and run if nobody's even looking for him? When I went in Walmart and I saw him standing in the vegetable thing with his wife, and I went straight up to him and I told him in his face, you are nothing but a murderer. And his mouth dropped and her mouth dropped, and I turned around and walked out because I was about to lay into him and I didn't want to go to jail. So I left, and after that he ran. Why is he running if he ain't guilty?
Right. So yeah, the listeners don't know any of that story. So and can you tell a little bit about how you found out that he ran?
Yeah.
You don't have to say their name.
Well, a family member of his is my friend, and she comes over and we talk, and we were talking about Jacob, and she asked me who was it. And I told her, and she said, you would never think that. He's so quiet, and he seems so nice. I said, yeah, but get him behind closed doors. And, he's abusive. He's a molester. He's not what he seems. He's a Jekyll and Hyde. I said, he tried to kill me so many times. He choked me with wire hangers, put a knife to my throat. He beat me. He pulled the doors off the hinges. He just ripped clothes off of me, threw me outside naked without a stitch of clothes, nothing on. I was in the car naked, crying, until he came out with a blanket. You don't even know that part.
I don't know that part.
But he really traumatized me. He really, really traumatized me. He called me a dog. He's not even good looking. That bow-legged, ugly, stupid demon. He never deserved me. Never.
Never. Yeah. It does say a lot. And around the time he left, too, that was around the time when the investigation was reopened. So I think that it was probably a number of factors, but I think definitely you calling him out in Walmart scared him. It's something that I don't think you've ever done in public.
I got him in the police station one day.
Yeah, but I mean, not in a public place like that.
I took everything I had just to go up to him in his face and tell him.
Yeah.
Because I said, he's going to know that I know.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want me to find out. That's in the reports. Guess what? I know.
Yeah.
You're a killer.
Yeah.
You murdered my son. It was not an accident to beat my son to death while I was at work.
If he was innocent, his story wouldn't have changed 4 times. If he was innocent, he wouldn't be hiding right now. If he was innocent, there's all these signs, and yet the district attorney, the attorney general, they don't even fucking bother to try to even look into this. It doesn't make any sense to me. I cannot understand why she was so caught up on the fact that, well, there's all this rumor about you being the one who hurt Jacob, and there's all this stuff, and what if the first injury was the one that caused the problem so that the second injury was fatal, and I can't prove that, and it's all about the medical evidence. And I'm like, but it's not all about the medical evidence. Yeah, there are problems in this case. There are. I was blamed. Everybody knows that. But you also have to take into account a lot of other factors with that. First of all, who was telling that story? Where'd that story originate from, Mom?
From him.
Okay.
He was walking down the hall and he saw Eric kick Jacob in the head.
Right. So everything that my grandma said and everything that you said was based on information that he was providing.
Exactly.
Okay. So I want to make that very clear, first of all. The second thing is, I was not a big kid.
You were 5.
I was
You were little.
I was short. I was
tiny, skinny.
I didn't weigh very much.
No, you were tiny. You couldn't hurt him.
Even if I wanted to fracture his skull,
you could not do
I could not have.
You were too little.
So I feel like there's too much focus on what this narrative that Stephen created around me. Couple that with the fact that I feel like there's some weird things going on with the medical investigator. We have 2 causes of death. We have 2 different reports.
Exactly.
The exact same report, exact same information, but one has homicide checked and the other one says undetermined. Why are there 2?
Why are they covering up for him?
Why are there 2? And every time I ask that question, nobody seems to have an answer for it. And nobody even seems to want to ask that question, which I think is a valid question.
They don't care.
Why are there 2?
Because they're lousy at their job, obviously.
I just don't. This whole thing, it just drives me crazy. Like, honestly, I can't believe we're still sitting here.
Talking
about the same shit that we've been talking about for the last almost 38 years. It's just...
He violated the restraining order that I put on him. He stalked me. They didn't do nothing. I wrote to the judge. They didn't do nothing. Like, over and over and over, they just ignored us and ignored us and ignored us. We're not going to shut up. We're not going away. We're not crawling back under that rock we were under when he had us shut up. We're never going to shut up.
Right.
Never. So You're not getting rid of us. You're not going to not do your job. You're going to do it.
Yeah.
We're going to take your ass to court.
And it's a matter of public record. His name is in the report. Like, you know what I mean? Anybody could find this information. They can get this information. So I'm not naming him and like accusing him of anything that he hasn't already been accused of. His name is all over that police report. It's all over it. Full name. And we don't have anything to lose at this point, right? So
they ain't gonna do nothing anyway.
He deserves to be called out. And if anybody knows of anything that's happened to a victim of his,
or if you are a victim,
or you are a victim of Stephen Chavez, then let us know, because we want justice, not just for us, not just for Jacob, but for you,
for whoever is brave enough to do this, because we'll stand with you all the way.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't care who he goes down for, but he needs to go to jail where he belongs, to prison.
He needs to not be able to hurt anybody else.
Exactly.
For the rest of his life.
No more babies, no more kids, no more women.
Nobody.
He's just a coward. That's all he is.
Yeah. He's a coward and he knows what he did.
And that's why he's running.
I want to go back to July 1987 when we went to Santa Fe to the state police department because Stephen was going to prove to you
that he was
innocent through a polygraph. So we waited. It must have been hours outside in that car.
It was a while.
It felt like at least 4 hours, but I was little. It could have been 45 minutes. I just remember it was July. It was hot.
Yeah, it was hot. I think it was more like an hour.
Okay.
But I think he shortened it. Like, he told me, oh, they let me go. It's fine. He lied.
He said he passed.
Yeah.
He did not pass. We found out after we got the records that he failed that polygraph.
Exactly.
So I think that's something that was like a turning point, right? That was where you and even I both were like, okay, maybe he's right. Maybe it was an accident. Because obviously if he would have failed, they would have arrested him.
Exactly.
So is that what was going through your mind at that time?
That's exactly what was going through my mind. Because I thought, well, if he was guilty, they would have arrested him by now. Because, that's their job. But they didn't arrest him. They didn't arrest him in 87 when he killed the baby. They didn't arrest him in 90 when he molested you, when he abused me, when he was after my niece. They didn't arrest him in 92 when we reported it for the second time. Yeah. But nothing. He doesn't even have a record.
There's no record.
There's no record on all this stuff he's already pulled. Yeah. Why? Why are they protecting him?
It's a good question.
whose son is he? Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, all these people protecting him and blaming us. Why? They have it in black and white. I seen that autopsy report in 1991 after all this was said and done. And that's when I saw it.
It said homicide.
Right there.
Yeah.
That's when I said, oh my God, he's been lying all this time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a good liar.
Speaking of lies, let's talk about the lie that led to him convincing you to marry him.
He went to get a loan on a mobile home trailer. And he put Mr. and Mrs. Chevis, and he did it. He signed it. And then he came and somehow, I don't know, he wanted to get another trailer. So he went and did it again. He signed like if we were married. I didn't know.
He also
that
signed
he
you
did
up
it.
for his insurance as his wife.
Right. I didn't know that he was doing this.
Yeah.
So he put me down on the double wide as his wife, like we were married. And then he comes and tells me like a few months later, oh, they're going to get us for fraud because I put that you're my wife and you're not my wife. And so we had to get married. And I didn't even tell you. We did it. JP grabbed two people off the street, no dress, no rings, nothing. Just a license. It wasn't nothing. There was no cake, no celebration. It wasn't a wedding. It was a forced marriage because he was going to get me in trouble for fraud because of the crap he was pulling behind my back. He put me on his insurance. He put you on his insurance before he even asked me.
Mm-hmm. I think that's something that is really important because up until that point, had he ever hit you?
He never hit me until he had the marriage license. He never abused me. He never talked bad to me. He never did anything wrong to me.
Until you were married.
Until he got that license.
Right. Because it's a lot harder for you to leave when you're married to him.
Because he thought I was stuck with him and I was never going to get out because he was going to kill me before I got out.
Right. What point did you start to suspect that he wasn't being honest about what happened with Jacob?
As soon as he started beating on me, because who's going to do something like that? I thought he was this nice preacher boy's son, and he's not. He's a demon. Mm-hmm. He come at you with knives and with hangers and just, trying to kill you every time he gets jealous because you look good. Where you going? Who you screwing? I'm at home washing and cleaning. He comes home to beat me because I'm at home? What kind of fool is that?
Yeah.
I didn't do anything. I should have. I'm going to leave you if you go to your friend's house. I went to her house every single day, and he never left on purpose. So I wanted him to leave, and I got beat up more for that, and I didn't care.
Yeah.
I really didn't care. I just wanted away from him.
It's just like that period of time was like the darkest time, I think, at least for me. I'm assuming it was for you.
It's all been dark.
It started with Jacob's death, and then it just got worse and worse.
Worse and worse.
And we still don't have any answers. We still don't have anybody who's willing to be the right person to do the right thing.
You might get some surprises.
Yeah.
I'm trusting God. I believe somebody's going to come forward because enough is enough. We shouldn't even have to name him, but I'm not going to protect a killer no more.
Yeah. How old do you think he is now?
He's a year older than me, 64.
64 years old. If you are from around the Socorro area or the Silver City area, and you know somebody who has had interactions with this person and they've been victimized by him, we would love to talk to them. We would love to help them to get their case in front of the right people, for all the work that we've done. And I do think we need to take a moment and appreciate how far we've gotten. This is the furthest we've ever gone with this case.
We really have done a lot.
And that's because of what we did.
We've never stopped.
Not because of what anybody else. I mean, yeah, people helped us, but I'm talking about anybody else like the government. They haven't done anything, really. So everything that's happened in this case is because we made it happen. And I know that Jacob is proud of us for that.
He is. He's smiling down from heaven because he knows we're trying so hard to get justice for him.
Somebody asked me why I don't quit. And I'm going to ask you the same question. I'm going to give my answer first, and then I'm going to ask you the same question. And I told them, I said, because I know that Jacob would never quit on me. And so I can't quit on him. It's not an option. What keeps you going, Mom? Why don't you quit?
I'm not going to quit because my kids are my heartbeat. He ripped my heart out and he stomped on it and he threw it in the trash. And I'm never going to quit because my kids are worth everything to me. Every heartache, every tear, everything that I've gone through, I do for them. And I want justice. And until I see that day, until I take my last breath, that's when I'm going to stop trying to get justice for my son and for us.
Yeah. Same.
That boy was my joy. And I know he was yours too.
Here's my miracle.
It was just so wonderful.
I prayed for him.
His life, his smile, his just everything. He
His
was
laughs.
just a awesome little boy.
So much personality too for an infant, like amazing.
He was awesome. I can't even imagine how wonderful he would have been here with you.
Yeah.
But he's still here with us.
He's here with us forever. We're never giving up. So, Mom, anything else that you want to share about what it's been like fighting for justice, or anything that you want to share about Jacob or the case, or any advice you want to give? Anything you want to say?
First, when all this happened, I couldn't even say my son's name. I was so devastated. And, I've come a long way, and I'm going to keep going a long way because God gave me this voice so I can fight for justice. And I fight for justice not just for my baby, but for your babies too. Baby Brianna, for Omari, for Victoria. I don't know them, but I love them. And I'll fight for you, whoever you are, if he did something to you. I will hold your hand in court and come with you every time you go to court. And I will pray for you, and I will support you, and I will try to be there through thick and thin, because no matter what, this demon needs to go where he's supposed to have been the whole time. And thank you, Eric, for everything you do. You're just my joy, my rock. I love you so much.
I love you too, Mom. And I've told you this before. There's nobody else I would rather do this with. Yeah. I'm just so proud of us. Like, I know we didn't get what we wanted out of this, but we are so much stronger than they even know. We are so much more stubborn than they can even expect. And so I really do truly hope that when the time comes, after we've worked with a private investigator and we get the evidence that we need, that when that time comes, I hope that the state of New Mexico finally does the right thing. And if they don't, then we'll hold them accountable, or we'll work on getting somebody else elected, right?
Exactly. If you can't do the job, get out of the office.
Yeah. Help or get out of the way is what I've been saying. So as part of kind of our next steps, one of the things that we're going to be doing in April is another 10 Days of Jacob. And it's going to start on April 1st, and it's going to go through the 10th. And from the April 1st to the 10th, we're going to ask you guys to help, listeners, to help us by emailing and calling and filling out web forms for the Attorney General's office and asking them to do a proper investigation on Jacob's case, because what they did was not an investigation. They talked to one person in 3.5 years. I don't understand how they think that that's a good job. If I did that level of work at my job, I would have been fired
A
long time ago. Like, how could you get away with that? And everyone's just like, this is great. So we're going to need your help with that. And we would love if you guys just show up in the numbers that you showed up for the last. We're looking to, like I said, hire a PI as well as potentially an attorney to help us. And we're just going to do everything we can to move forward and figure out what's going to happen, I guess. But we appreciate, I appreciate, I'm sure you do too, Mom. I'll let you express your own appreciation. But I appreciate everybody who has helped us get this far. And people who don't know us, people all around the world who just heard this story and decided to help. I am so appreciative of that.
I appreciate every voice that has mentioned Jacob's name, no matter who you are. I thank you, and God bless you. I love you all, and I will pray for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. We're not done, so stay tuned.
Yes.